Okay. So Kiki, what do you want to talk
Before we get started, Dheeraj, I mean, there are a couple of other friends here. Sanjay is not joining, or is he?
about? No, Sanjay is here.
I am here.
Oh, you're here? Okay, maybe I can see. Atul is there as well?
Atul is actually
not here.
he's with his friend in Austin.
Okay.
So he's visiting a friend. So he was still trying to join. He might even join, but I think he was saying it's going to be difficult.
Okay, that's fine.
Sorry, so I didn't actually have a particular question, but more wanted to think about how, Karam Yoga. I know that Karam Yoga keeps us in the relative world, in Vyavaharika, Satyam, and then sort of how this walking, with one foot here and one foot there, how they go along, one foot in Vyavaharika and one foot in, and simultaneously helps you stay in Paramarthika, because it feels to me that that Karam Yoga has us very focused on my identity as me, on as this mind keeps us focused on the mind a little bit, and just the attitude of working with the mind in Karam Yoga. I guess that area I wanted to talk about more. Or if you have thoughts on that, I would love to hear those more. And I will ask more specifically, as I have been working on myself, like thinking about my psyche, how I can work with that.
No, I think I understand your question.
In a way that, yeah, okay.
But I think where the confusion is, and this happens often, is when you say, when I think of myself in Paramarthika and Vyavaharika, you cannot think of yourself in Paramarthika. There is no yourself in Paramarthika. So Paramarthika is not something that you can live in. Paramarthika is not something that you can apply to your day-to-day life. It's a piece of knowledge. It's a piece of knowledge which tells you the reality about yourself. So, Swami Paramarthanand used to say, the prayojan is only in Vyavaharika. In other words, he said that the prayojan is benefit of living. So the benefit is really in Vyavaharika. The benefit of Paramarthika is knowing your true reality, knowing who you are, and thinking about it, and that is the truth, and that is the heart of Advaita Vedanta. But you cannot say that I'm living with a Paramarthika. You cannot be living if you're in Paramarthika. You cannot be thinking if you're Paramarthika. You cannot think of yourself as Paramarthika. Paramarthika is Brahman, doesn't think, doesn't live, doesn't do anything. So when you may think that you're thinking of yourself in Paramarthika, but you're actually thinking of yourself in Vyavaharika, because you're thinking of yourself.
Right.
So I would say, maybe for now, forget about the Paramarthika when you're thinking about your life. The Vyavaharika vision of Vedant is very powerful. And actually, I'll go on to that later. What it says is that you are part and parcel of this world. The world is a system. It's a living system. It's a system with laws. Things are happening there in that system. It's got order. In an orderly way, things are happening. And what you are is part of this system. You're an ansh, a part of this system. And when you see that, when you understand that, then you will see how you relate to the system, how what you do contributes to the system, and how what you get comes from the system. So when you are living, that is what you have to, from a Vedanta perspective, that's how you have to think. And understand that every time you say, oh, I want to think of myself as Brahman, it's a play of the ego. Because you cannot, when you say, I'm going to think of myself as Brahman, you're automatically first saying I'm different from Brahman, and now I want to somehow combine myself with Brahman. That's not the way it is. That's just mind playing games with itself.
Hmm.
So that is why this Vyavaharika, and the other thing I wanted to say was Vedant is not only Advait Vedant. So for example, there is Dvait Vedant, Vishisht Advait Vedant, and Advait Vedant. These are the three main categories. The Vyavaharika vision of Vedant or Vyavaharika vision of Advait Vedant is equal to Vishisht Advait Vedant. So Vishisht Advait Vedant says, Vedant का क्या मतलब है? Vedant means any philosophy which says that Brahman is the cause of the world is Vedant. Any philosophy which defines Brahman. And Brahman is the cause of the world, but it is different from Sankhya. Sorry, I'm going too deep, but you will listen to it again in the recording, you'll figure it out. So when Sankhya also says that there is a cause of the world, but the Sankhya says that the cause of the world is not living. It's an inert cause. It's some atoms or molecules or something. And the life comes from something called Purusha. Purusha and this inert cause are different, and they combine together and produce the universe. Vedanta says no, there is only one cause of the world, and that's a living cause. That is why it's called Advait Vedanta. Or it's actually, yeah, so that is the Advait Vedanta. There's one cause of the world, which is a living cause. So wherever Brahman comes in, it's Vedant. But how Brahman relates to you, that varies by whether it is Dvait, Vishisht Advait, or Advait. So in Dvait, you are different from Brahman.
Hmm.
In Vishisht Advait, you are part of Brahman. They give an example of a tree. So you are a leaf on the tree. Now the tree is everything. All the leaves and branches and everything compose it as a tree. So you are a leaf, so that means you're part of the tree. You're a tree. You're not different from the tree. Yet you're a leaf. You could consider yourself different from the tree. You could consider yourself part of the tree. That is Vishisht Advait. And Advait says there is no difference. There is only one thing. Call it tree or whatever, there is only one thing, there is no difference. So when we think about living in this world, Advait Vedant borrows heavily or leans on completely Vishisht Advait. So the vision of Vishisht Advait. So that is why it is still Vedant. It may not be Advait Vedant. But anyway, I got diverted. The point is, Vyavaharika vision is what Karam Yoga is all about. Don't get confused by the Paramarthika part. Okay, now I don't know whether I actually helped or hurt. But
No, definitely helped. I mean, because what you ordered as clarification is what comes up in each and every class. You know, that when you think of you can't think of yourself
right,
as
exactly. You
yeah,
can't think. Yeah.
yeah,
The moment you say I'm thinking of myself as
yeah,
something,
yeah,
you're automatically already
yeah,
in Vyavaharika.
yeah.
So, I was thinking the other day, I'm actually planning to, I just, sometimes I write an article for some journal. So I wrote one last time on that. I sent it to you guys. So this time I'm thinking of writing on something called, so, think about it like this. When you're in this world, we are in a cycle called the cycle of samsara or the cycle of karma. So what that is you have a desire in your mind. You do some karma to meet that desire. So a karma is done to meet the desire. It's possible that the desire is met, and for that moment you're happy. But soon, meeting a desire leads to a new desire. Right? So let's say you want a house, you get a house, you're very happy, but very soon then you want a bigger house. And then you want a bigger house. You first, you may want children. Very happy, very sad you not got children, very happy you got them. Oh, good. Now you want grandchildren. Then you want the grandchildren to be married. Then so it's like a never-ending vicious cycle. This is called the cycle of samsara. That's what keeps us in samsara. This cycle of having desire, taking the action, doing karma to meet the desire, and then finding that there's a new desire, even more powerful than before. So it's a vicious cycle. And this is why Arjun was very surprised when Krishna Bhagwan told him, do karma yoga, because he said, karma mein to cycle hai. Karma se mujhe kaise mukti milegi? So now think about karma yoga as another cycle. And this is, you would call it a virtuous cycle of karma yoga. In this, what you do is, when you have a desire, you can't let go of the desire entirely because you can't shove it under the carpet. But what you do is you try to dedicate this desire to a higher cause, say to God, or to any higher cause that you can think of. The first time around, you have to do it with a little bit of will. What Vedant is telling you is that your happiness doesn't come from meeting desires, because meeting desires just leads to more desires. Your happiness comes from not having desires, not having strong desires. So Karma Yoga gives you a mechanism to not have those strong desires. It says, okay, I have the desire, but I'm going to give it to, I will offer it to God or any higher cause. मैं अपने भारत के लिए करूँगा और अमेरिका के लिए करूँगा, whatever it is. You do it for that. Once you do that, then when the return comes, also you have a sense of surrender. So you have surrendered your action to a higher cause. You surrender your returns to and say, okay, ये मैं प्रसाद की तरह मुझे मिला, ये मैंने भगवान के लिए करा, भगवान डिसाइड करेगा मुझे इसमें सफलता मिलेगी या नहीं. So I get that result. Then you take that result as a prasad, right? So Ishwar Arpan and Ishwar Prasad. You do this a couple of times. You have to prime the pump, and you will find that actually you're not sad. You're better off by it. Your stress level has gone down. That kicks off another cycle now. Then now you do more and more. Abhi tune shuru mein you just did it for one small thing. Then you do it for more and more and more and more things. Gradually it becomes a habit. It becomes a cycle of its own. But this is very different from the cycle of samsara. This is the cycle of karma yoga. This is the virtuous cycle. So that is what a karma yogi is. By leveraging the vision of Vedant, which is that this world is a system, whether we like it or not, whatever we are doing as part of the system. We can't say कि मैं अकेला कर रहा हूँ. You may want to, but that's not the truth. And also the message, the result you're getting is also from the system. That's just the way it is. By leveraging that knowledge, you say, okay, all right, I'm going to contribute to the system and I'm going to accept what the system gives me. Knowing that, trusting Vedant, and knowing that my happiness actually doesn't depend upon the results. It depends on doing a good job. You have to trust a little bit. You can't trust your life to it right now. Trust something.
Right.
And once that cycle gets going and once you see the result, then you get into a cycle of karma yoga. And Bhagwan Krishna says in the Gita, he says, शुरू में ही कहते हैं, he says, ये जो कर्म योग है, no effort goes wasted. You do a little effort, you'll get some return. It doesn't get wasted. And he said, you never fall back. Whatever you do, and if you can't complete, you'll complete it in your next janam. He's just trying to kind of, tell you up front. So that's long answer to Kiki's question on Karma Yoga.
And then is it fair to say that Karam Yoga, it's not possible to start doing Karam Yoga without, is it fair to say that it's not possible to start doing Karam Yoga or to be engaged in Karam Yoga without some Gyan Yoga, without having some understanding?
Yeah, you have to have some, so this Gyan, like the Gyan in Karam Yoga, yes, you can have the Gyan to say, I'm Brahman. But the problem is that if you knew that already, then you don't need Karma.
Yeah.
So you can't, you have a little Gyan, but the least Gyan, at least this Gyan you should have, that I am part of a system. That there is an Ishwar, whatever way I define it. And that Ishwar is very instrumental in the results I get. And
Yeah.
this gyan, maybe not gyan, but this notion you should have, having tried, you should have had this experience that, you know what, I've tried the other way. I've tried the samsaric cycle. I've tried getting all kinds of success. And during my lifetime, I've got success. But still I'm in the same place. Nothing has really changed. I still want more. This knowledge you can only get by living life.
Yeah.
That's why that famous, beautiful shloka, my favorite, of Parikshay Lokan Karam Chittan. Having examined the life of karmas, Karam Chittan, right? Done by karma. Having examined the life of karma, Brahmana Nirvedan Ayat. So a wise person gets detachment or gets objectivity. So when you have that, is the minimum you need, because without that, if you're still believing that your happiness is only going to come out of meeting desires, then there is no karam yoga for you. Then you follow your desires. Just do it in a dharmic way. So karam yoga is the first step to a spiritual journey. That means a journey away from samsara. But you can't be a karam yogi if you want to be a samsari.
Dheeraj, is there a correlation between Karam Yoga and Nidhyasana?
Yes, so
Are they?
there are differences. So actually today, if we move on to chapter 8, I'm going to talk about Upasana because we need to talk about that for chapter 8. If not today, we'll talk next time.
Okay.
So there's Karam Yoga, there is Upasana, there is Nididhyasana. So Nididhyasana means it's a sort of a meditation, but a meditation where you're thinking about yourself, your truth. That is Nididhyasana. A meditation where you're thinking about Ishwar, God over there, or something else over there, some other object. That is Upasana. And Karam Yoga comes before Nididhyasana and Upasana. It's the first step where you're saying, I'm just trying to control, get out of this cycle of samsara. I know knowledge is the one that takes me out, but I need a little bit of real life experience also, just to kind of convince myself that, yeah, this works. So you do Karam Yoga, it proves to you, because as you do Karam Yoga, you find you're getting happier. So it sort of proves to you that there is some truth in the saying that, you're not attached. You're not, you don't have to be caught up in this affairs of the world all the time. So it's a starting point. It gives you strength of mind, right? It gives you strength of conviction. Then you go on to further all these other things.
Makes sense.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, we are engineers. We think like engineers, so it makes sense. Like everything has a
Well,
cause and effect.
yeah. I mean, I had given so much focus to understanding, who am I, that part of Vedanta. I think Karma Yoga is equally important, I think, because, that's sort of the preparation to head in that direction, right? So I'm
Yes,
just trying to
exactly.
make sure, these pieces of information are coming from, at different times. So I'm just
Absolutely.
trying to understand the big picture and the purpose of each one, right?
Yes. Yeah, you need to have your own mental frame, and all these things which are coming, you need to place them in the proper, attach them to the right hooks in the proper boxes so that they make sense. You can't, uh, otherwise, whatever you listen to, it seems like the most important thing. Mukta
One
Singh.
of the other things that I think about and I'm facing is, so in our day-to-day lives, right? We have number of people. We have our spouses, we have our children, right, and so forth. You have these important relationships that you want to build and so forth. Now, the challenge that I personally face is, okay, I'm getting all this knowledge, right? And I'm trying to do, think about Karma Yoga and do Karma Yoga, right? Which means, you start thinking about your desires in a completely different way. You start handling them in a different way, right? But I find that, sometimes the outcomes in these relationships is, it puts stress on the relationship because your loved ones don't think the same way. So there are conflicts that arise. Any thoughts on that? And how do you manage that kind of conflict? Right.
Yeah, no, it's very normal. And I think it's part of the process. So, like, what you have to think about, I would say, is why is the conflict happening? Like, not, first of all, your loved ones you have to respect. They are part of the world, just like your body and mind is part of the world. You have to respect where they are. And you have to trust that everybody is on their own journey. You are not responsible for their journey. You are not responsible to उनका उद्धार करने के लिए. तुम पहले अपना उद्धार करो. Right? That is more than enough. But figure out why the conflict is happening. Why is it that if you know better, if you are going to a better place by doing all this karma yoga and everything, why is it leading to a conflict? Not from the point of view of your wife, I'm saying in your mind. What is it in your mind? Conflict happens when you have an expectation and the reality doesn't meet the expectation. That's the source of conflict. So what expectation do you have from your loved ones which you are not able to meet, which is not in line with reality? So for example, I may expect my wife to, I would say, मुझे भी होता था, मुझे लगता था, for me, this is such an important thing, Vedant. मैं सारा टाइम वेदांत करते रहता हूँ. And Kavita doesn't care. Doesn't she care about what I care about? Or doesn't she want to learn and become better? But that is a completely guided by the ego, right? Why should someone else be caring about what I care about? In fact, 10 years ago, even I didn't care about this. So forget about the other person. So you just look, there's no reason, if there's a conflict, it's an opportunity for you to figure out where you need to do a correction. Rajiv, do you get it, or should we talk more?
Yeah, I get it. I think I need to just think about that more, about what you said, which is what is the root cause of the conflict. And because this is a recent observation, because now you have the knowledge, so you're looking at where conflicts arise. And I think I'm more this issue about needs and wants and the cycle and all that, right?
Yeah.
I'm trying to break that cycle, right? But
Right.
sometimes it doesn't align with the goals of your spouse. Okay.
Yeah.
And so I haven't looked at that closely to say how what role do I need to play here to sort of smoothen the conflict, right?
Right.
Rather than my spouse or my loved one saying that he doesn't care or he has changed, right?
Yeah. I mean, maybe another thing that can happen sometimes is because of the way we are, we make everything an objective, and we make a goal, and we try to align our resources behind the goal.
Mm-hmm.
So we make Vedanta also an objective. I have to learn this. I have to follow this path. I have to make sure that I can spend every free time I have behind this path, as opposed to taking the children out somewhere or whatever your grandchildren out somewhere, right? That also is not in line with our knowledge. Then you're making Vedanta another material object.
Mm-hmm.
What Karma Yoga is telling you is to surrender. not to create this, not to manipulate the environment around you to meet your needs. You will meet your needs by surrendering to the environment around you. So it'll all fall into place over time, you know. It's this transition is always tough because we are 1 foot here, 1 foot there. You know, we are used to thinking in particular ways. We are used to, you know, we have expectations. Just takes time for the knowledge to, once the knowledge becomes, you know, Swami Dayanand used to say that he carries this knowledge very lightly. It's very light. It's not a burden. He doesn't think about this knowledge. He doesn't have to apply it all the time. He doesn't have to kind of consciously work on it. It's there. It's always there. And it's very light. It's not doing anything, not coming in his way. If you want to go, if someone says, Swami ji, ye karna hai, इनसे वो karte hain? You know, it's not like the knowledge is making huge demands on him. But that's a very evolved state. That's kind of how, you know, people live with this knowledge. So the knowledge should make you available to the world, to interact with the world and meet the world. And that cannot happen till the knowledge becomes a little bit more settled. In the beginning, the knowledge demands a lot of time because you have to get conviction in that knowledge. So it will take a lot of your time and energy. It will divert you away from world. That's why they say sannyas karo. Kabhi kabhi kehte hain na sannyasis and all, because they say dedicate your life to learning. But not forever. You know, once you get the knowledge, then you don't have to dedicate your life to the knowledge. Then the knowledge is your life, you know, in the sense that then you are available. Then you are available for anything and everything. Because you don't need some knowledge to make you happy. Right now, you think you need Vedanta knowledge to make you happy. Right? That's why you're following up so strongly with this Vedanta knowledge. But when you have the knowledge, you realize you don't, you know, you really are happy. So it's like, I'm just giving you thoughts.
Yeah.
But I think that's a very, very genuine point which Rajiv brought out. Since suppose there's a family of 5-6 members, and I have been behaving in all the members, मतलब हर एक की अपनी अपनी nature है to react to situations, and suddenly one person, after getting all this knowledge, and he's not behaving in the way the family members are used to seeing the behavior. Suppose a family member, let's go to a movie, and they all get excited, and this one single member is not really excited to go to a movie, and he's not perturbed or anything, and that's not acceptable to the other family members. You are being singled out, and even situations in which you would be reacting in an angry way, you are not reacting, you are not being affected by situations and people remarks. So then you are being singled out by the other 5 members.
Yes,
so
I'm saying, I'm just putting this across to you that maybe this is just a transitory phase. Because when, like, a person with actual knowledge, a person who is at peace with himself, who is comfortable in his knowledge, comfortable in his skin, comfortable in the world around him, will not evoke this kind of reaction.
No,
But
he won't. He is not invoking this type of reaction. But the other 5 members in the family, they are since they are not synced with his thought process. You see, now this man's thought process is different. He reacts and responds in a different way to which these family members are, they would react, or they have seen him reacting to all these
Yeah.
situations.
I mean,
So unless we align all the 6 members to the same wavelength,
that's not the way.
it becomes hard.
That's not the way to think about this, okay? Because the world is the way the world is, right?
The world is.
Now, what I'm trying to tell you is that this person who has started thinking differently, who's on a different path, who's on a different track, is on a journey of his own. The destination of the journey is different from the destination of the previous journey. His track is different. His interests are different. How he wants to spend his time is different. Basically, what it boils down to really is in these relationships is how do you want to spend your time? Are you going to spend the time going with me in the movie and gossiping? Or are you going to spend the time sitting with a book and reading Gita? Right? That's kind of what it boils down to. Because, you're not reacting to me, you're not sympathizing with me, all of those things. All these things happen when you are in the process of changing your track. When you have knowledge, you do not have to go back and read Gita every day. You don't even have to not go to a movie to be happy. You'll be quite happy going to a movie also. There is no reason why you shouldn't go to a movie with your wife if she wants to go, just because she wants to go. Go for a movie with her. The reason you're not wanting to go is because you think, oh, I have better things to do with my time. And going to a movie is a bad use of time.
One is one, I have better things to do, but that movie concept won't excite you that much, which it used to do.
But you're not going to excite yourself. That's what I'm trying to tell you. You don't need anything to excite you or not excite you.
Yeah.
You're going because your wife wants to go. That's all. It excites her. Right? So that kind of
But the wife is
generosity
expecting an excitement from you when you are going for the movie. You see?
What I'm trying to say is
there that expectation gap is arising. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Actually, my experience is similar, Dheeraj, as well. Is once you become more calm and you're not driven by the kind of things you were driven previously by, right? It's a big change in who you are. And so, what I find is, observations from your loved ones about you're different. You're not showing any emotion. You're
but is it a bad observation? Is it an observation which says, oh, you're going in a wrong direction?
Well, actually, it doesn't matter what I think. It's what the other person,
I'm talking about the other person, right? Yeah.
And I have no control over that.
Right. Anyway.
But also, it is legitimate and fair to say that if you've been together with somebody for a long time, then change is hard. I mean, change is hard enough yourself. For another person to see change is really, that's where I think, some skill is needed in just handling that situation. The first being just to really empathize and understand that is really hard for them.
Well, I'll share you my one personal example, which is, I think a year ago, would I actually ever sit down and tell everybody that I have insecurities? No. Right? And now I do. And that helps. My view is, you have to be, you don't need to bury your emotions or your thoughts, and you exactly share what you're feeling, right? But that's a different me, right? It's like puzzling to your immediate relationships about what happened to this guy. He was like a gung-ho kind of guy, always driven. Now it's a different side of him, right?
Yeah.
So that's just an example, I thought I would throw out that
that's very fair. That happens. I totally agree with you.
May I add something? I think we all have changed over time. That change was probably slow. Do you think what what you used to think when you were 30 years old and what you are thinking now, maybe for the similar situations or even your relations, कॉन्फ्लिक्ट तो वैसे भी रहते हैं, किसी ना किसी बात पे तो रहते ही हैं, पहले भी रहते थे, अभी भी होंगे. ओनली थिंग इज कि नाउ प्रोबेबली द पॉइंट ऑफ कॉन्फ्लिक्ट माइट बी डिफरेंट, बट बिकॉज the personality of the spouse or the children, I think we all have been evolving. I see my spouse, he's not the same person he was 30 years ago. He's changed. I have changed, not just because of Vedanta, even otherwise. I think we all evolve. Only thing is our core nature, what I believe, our core nature remains the same. जो एक हमारी एक पर्सनालिटी, जो बचपन से जो संस्कार जो हमारे होते हैं, वो जो हमारे डेवलप हो जाते हैं, जिसको जो हम कहते हैं ना कि उसकी नेचर ऐसी है, दैट पर्सन इज लाइक दिस, वो कोर नेचर मुझे लगता है हमारी वही रहती है. बट ओवर अ पीरियड ऑफ टाइम हमारी पर्सपेक्टिव, किसी भी चीज को देखने का पर्सपेक्टिव और उन सब में चेंज आता है. आई मीन दैट इज व्हाट आई बिलीव, मुझे ऐसा लगता है. आई मीन आई डोंट नो, सबका अपना अपना एक्सपीरियंस है, पर मुझे लगता है कि जो मेरे हस्बैंड पहले थे, अब में उनमें बहुत चेंज है. अब ही इज नॉट इनटू वेदांता, मेरे में भी चेंज है. मैं जैसे पहले किसी चीज को रिएक्ट करती थी, अब शायद डिफरेंटली रिएक्ट करती हूँ. इवन बिफोर वेदांता ऑल्सो एंड आफ्टर वेदांता ऑल्सो, प्रॉब्ली किसी ने नोटिस किया नहीं किया, दैट इज डिफरेंट, बट दैट्स माय ऑब्जर्वेशन.
Makes sense.
आई थिंक विद द लाइफ में जो हमारे को सारे क्या कहते हैं, all the pleasures and pains we go through, they bring out changes in our personality. Pleasures and pains with the family, with the situations and everything. हर एक के अलग अलग है, किसी के pleasures ज्यादा है, किसी के pains ज्यादा है, or maybe equally, and we all evolve accordingly, and the family also slowly gets used to. पहले कॉन्फ्लिक्ट्स होते थे, वो डिफरेंट सिचुएशंस में होते थे, अब डिफरेंट सिचुएशंस में होते हैं.
No, you're right, because I can see, I was thinking also, you're right, to some extent people get used to you, the new you.
Yeah.
Because sometimes they realize that, there's a change in you, you're different. And they adjust. That's why they say at retirement, there are a lot of conflicts. The husband is suddenly
Yeah.
gone, right? But then
Yeah.
after some time, the wife gets used to it. It's a new reality.
ओ, तो थोड़ा कॉन्फ्लिक्ट ज्यादा देर रहेंगे, पहले टाइम कम होता था, अब टाइम ज्यादा होता है.
Well, the thing is, I think what I was trying to get at is, with this knowledge, you are changing your own behavior, right? And you're aligning it to less suffering, right? But it can indirectly cause suffering to your loved ones, because
maybe.
you're going through that transition, right?
Yeah.
And that's hard to to absorb.
But see, it should not cause suffering to your loved ones. That's what I'm trying to say. Maybe it's a transitory phase. In a transient phase, it causes suffering because you're not available to your loved ones. What causes suffering to a loved one is if you're not available to them, right? Am I getting it right or not? Are you still,
Well,
does your family
let
still
me
feel you're available to them?
let me give you, for example, at least my train of thought, right? You've been living with your loved ones for many years. You have shared vision, shared goals, right?
Right.
Some of those are actually tied to desires. Okay, I want to travel, I want to go here. I want to buy a bigger house. I need a car, right? After this particular knowledge, your thinking about all these things, right, changes. All right. When you kind of learn that one desire will only lead to a bigger desire, which will only lead to a bigger desire, right? You let's see, you change yourself based on what
Absolutely.
you're
No, I see.
learning,
I
your
think I
knowledge.
see what you're saying now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's, the end results of some of these dreams, right, suddenly changes, and
Yes,
that's a
yes.
big change for your loved ones, right?
Suddenly, for example, your wife might find that you're no longer as interested in a bigger house and more money and more,
Exactly.
but she still is.
But she still thinks that that's her dream,
Yeah.
part of her dream, and
And
she
you're
wants.
part of her ticket to that dream, right?
Well, I mean, that may be the case, that may not be the case, but
Yeah, I'm just saying.
I mean,
Yeah.
there's a difference in thinking, and that can really impact relationships that have been built over many, many years, and
Yes.
for common goals and common
Okay, I
things.
see what you're saying. There's no, absolutely right. There's no easy resolution to this one that I can see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Sanjay's example was a mild example of going to a movie, but I'm
Yeah,
talking about
okay. Yeah,
bigger,
About bigger ones.
bigger, yeah.
Yes. Okay. I understand now. I am not facing that situation, so that is why it took me a while, because for me it's quite the reverse. So, but yeah, I mean, like my wife also, her complaint was that, we used to have things we used to do together in the free time, and now you are spending all that free time, learning Vedanta. So it was like, you don't want Vedanta to become your Swatan. That's not good either. So anyway, but yeah, you're right. That issue is there. But I think what happens, I feel, if you can tactfully and very with skill navigate through this, eventually, your loved ones will realize the truth or the wisdom of what you're saying and what you're doing, especially if they especially if they see a sustained change in behavior. It's not that you're just saying these things, right? Because in the beginning they'll say you're just saying these things, you're becoming a hypocrite. But when they actually see that you're not just saying, you mean it, then it will become different.
Well, I'm hoping so.
Yeah.
Actually, it's a bit of a problem for the family members to accept the new you. See?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
So,
I can understand now.
So it makes so much
unless
sense
they
that it would be a problem for
same
them.
path, it's hard for them to fathom all the changes and your reactions.
Yeah. But again, the principles of Karam Yoga, I told you last time, compassion is a very big thing.
Yes.
You have to kind of force yourself into that mode. You got to understand how you might have reacted in that situation when you didn't have knowledge, when you had more ignorance. So you got to give a lot of rope. Just like you have to give a lot of rope to this world. You have to deal with this world, which is very, in some ways, very ignorant. But there, it doesn't affect you that much because they are, they're not your loved ones. So Yeah, I understand now what you're saying, Rajiv.
I think the impulse is to share the teachings with them, but that doesn't always go
That is not
as
a good thing to do.
that's not, yeah, that's what I'm saying is that,
Yeah.
you try to, well, it's hard to reason out why you are changing, because, I mean, that itself needs, it better be a solid explanation according to the person you're dealing with, right? It's a hard problem, actually. um, Human behaviors and human relationships that have been cultivated over years, once they start changing a little bit, it needs, deep adjustment. But your point about compassion is correct. I mean, I think that's really the way to really overcome some of these challenges, is to show compassion in the thought process of the person that you're having, may have conflict with, directly or indirectly.
Compassion is the opposite of ego. Proper compassion, not just not a forced compassion, not like a pretend compassion.
But some people like me are not good at empathy and compassion either.
Yeah, but
So you have to cultivate that part and learn to cultivate that part too, which is, as you know, is also not very easy.
yes, that is. I mean, that is your sadhana. For you, that is karma yoga.
Yeah.
That's the way to think about it. Which is how to at least for that time, put your needs aside and just try to be in somebody else's shoes.
My personal problem is more trying to start to problem solve rather than listen.
Yes.
And typically it's what the mind is trained to is, somebody has a problem, just start solving it, and
Yes.
jump into problem solving rather
Rajiv,
than listen.
I'm just like you. Okay.
I know engineers are like that.
Yeah, engineers are like that. And then that is, you got to really realize that what we think is a solution is not really a solution. It's just our version of a solution.
Yeah, exactly.
So we can't problem solve.
And actually, on this topic of compassion, if I can share, something that Carol has continually told me, it's not just compassion for the compassion for the other person comes if there is compassion for yourself first. So if you think that you are not compassionate, I mean, what she has told me is working with, she says your psyche has all these little parts in you. Your psyche still has, it's the insecure part. Your psyche still has like a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old and a 15-year-old. And so you start by actually listening and being compassionate to those parts of yourself. So I'm just sharing it because it's been very helpful for me.
No, I have studied self-love as well, and trying
inner
to,
child. It's called inner child.
Inner child work, exactly. But that inner child work, what I find is, that then seems to extend naturally, not just to yourself, but to your loved ones as well. It becomes an easier transition because then you can put them on the same status sometimes. It's anyway.
I think the good news is, Rajiv, you're very self-aware. That's a very good starting point.
Dheeraj, this all has come after I started learning about Vedanta, right? I mean, earlier it was like you didn't even care about, I mean, life's good, right?
No, but you may be flipping the cause and effect.
Okay.
Maybe you were changing. That's why Vedanta has always been there. It has never. ये नहीं है कि suddenly आ गई है.
No, the relationship
Something happened in you
came
and you got
prior.
drawn to it. It's a both are helping each other.
Chicken and egg problem. Yeah.
Chicken
Doesn't
and egg,
matter.
exactly.
I think I'm excited about where I am. So
Yeah. No, I can tell you, it may seem very difficult right now, when you might feel like, you may start getting exposed to weaknesses in you, or I'm like this and we should do like this, but you just get over it. It's part of the process. I honestly, I'm telling you, I kind of see myself in exactly what you're saying, and I know I've changed, so can you. Sanjay, anything else? Mukta?
नहीं, बस यही, nothing more to say. बाकी तो yes, Vedanta, your thought process, your reactions, your responses, they change dramatically. And sometimes it's not taken very well by the people around you. I can give you a very small example. One of my staff members, she's not very regular at work, time wise. She will take a few extra holidays. And when she's not on duty at time and I am not scolding her, that doesn't go well with the other staff members.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was scolding her before, but now I am not scolding her.
Right.
So that's not taken very sportingly by the other staff.
Yeah.
You see? अब क्या करें अब, मेरे को मतलब आई एम नॉट फीलिंग एंग्री, व्हाट डू आई डू? I create anger?
बट संजय, अगर तू शुरू से ही ऐसे होता, राइट, देन दे
हाँ,
वुडंट हैव
अगर मैं शुरू से ऐसे होता तो अलग चीज थी ना. नाउ दे आर, वो कहते हैं नहीं आप इसको, मतलब वो छुट्टी ले रही है, वो कर रही है, आप डांट नहीं रहे, आप उसको फेवर दे रहे हो. आप डांटते नहीं हो, वो फिर छुट्टी कर लेती है.
maybe a time will come when you will give them also some leeway.
नहीं नहीं, मैं वही समझाता हूँ. मैंने कहा तुम भी गलतियां करते हो, ये करते हो, तो तुम्हें भी मैंने नहीं डांटा ना. पर वो चीज उनको नहीं दिखती ना.
I mean, one thing I know is that when people see that what you're doing and you're serious about it and you stuck to it, and now this is not just a one-off thing, right? Then they start changing their behavior towards it. Then they start adjusting to the new you, right? But people are not very easy to convince, even your loved ones. They have their own ideas. उनको पता है, बड़े सारे ये ऐसे लोग देखे हैं हमने who get caught in all these things. 2 साल के लिए they will be all gung-ho about it and then they will come back, right? Or something like that. So, it just takes time. But the earlier point I was trying to make was that at the end of all this process, the end result is a better you. A better you for yourself and for others around you. That is how you end up. Or that is what the goal is. That's where you will be. So if you're not feeling that, if you're not feeling that you're a better you for yourself, or maybe for the others around you, it just means there's still work to be done. Both of these are right. There's a time for transition. It takes time. And the other is also that, our egos and our own interests and our own motivations, they come out in different ways. Ego बड़ी चीज है. Like Swami Dayananda also used to say. He said that ego में क्या होता है? तुम एक डार्क रूम है, उसमें ईगो है. You got a flashlight. You throw the flashlight in the corner. वो ईगो है. By the time that तुम देखते हो वो ईगो है, वो भाग के कहीं और चली जाती है. Then you go chase it and throw the flashlight there. Then वो कहीं और चली जाती है. कहते हैं वो ऐसे ऐसे कर करके finally you have to light up the whole room. Then ego has no place to go. Another example that often used in for the ego is where you kind of, वो जो होता है ना, toy होता है, you hit something and there's a doll which is popping up. You hit the doll, there are many holes, and then you hit it and the doll pops up from another hole. Then you go hit it there, it pops up from another hole. So when these, to some extent, you have to also see that when these conflicts are happening, it's ego popping up in a very nefarious and a very insidious way. I'm sorry. I mean, I'm not trying to be unsympathetic, Rajiv. I totally understand what you're saying. I'm also saying that the it's a whole lot of things happening. Your loved ones adjusting to the new you changing, you learning. All that is going on. It's a transition time.
Yeah.
It's not it's a difficult time, but it's a time that you will get through. We've all gone through it one way or the other. And I can see that for you, there's real change. I mean, I can feel the emotion. I can feel the change for you. So it's a good thing. I mean, I remember all these examples because they're so relevant. Sorry, Mukta, I was just going to say.
No, it's okay. Please continue.
Another example for this, मेरे को याद है, ये I don't know विपश्यना में था या किसी और ने मुझे बताया था, because I found it true in my case. They said, शरीर में पस है, and it's causing you problems, but at least it's sort of settled. पस हुई पड़ी है. Now पस निकालने के लिए निकालनी है पस. If you want to become better, you have to make an incision. Then you have to remove the pus. All of this is very painful. Then pus removal itself is a painful process. Then you got to apply stitches. Then you got to let the whole thing heal. Like, to improve for a month or two, you will feel worse. You'll say, मैंने ये क्या कर दिया? ठीक-ठाक पड़ी हुई थी. Why did I mess with the pus? But after those 2 months, then you start feeling better. And all process of, all of the healing processes are, pretty much, they require this. They require, all kinds of things that we've been doing, all the stuff in our mind has to start coming out one way or the other. So it's painful when it's coming out. But it's all in a good cause. And, like having a group like this, talking to like-minded people who've kind of done something similar, who've been through a similar sort of journey, or who are going through the same journey, all this can help.
Actually, I was saying all this conversation and talk has brought back some memories of my mother-in-law, some incidents and memories I would like to share. Maybe they may be of any help. Like I have earlier also talked that she has been very spiritual. I mean, literally spiritual, not ritual, totally in that spiritual category. Not Vedanta exactly, but she was following a path, but she was following it to the core. To the core, whatever the guru used to say, वो literally follow करती थी. जैसे जो आम आप इंडिया में जैसे आप देखते हैं, गुरु जी जो भी बोलते हैं कि आप निंदा नहीं करेंगे, आप चुगली नहीं करेंगे, आप इधर उधर की बात नहीं करेंगे. A small example. I mean, I've never heard her talk. I don't know about the extended family, more about the extended family of my husband, because वो कभी ज्यादा बात करती ही नहीं थी उनके बारे में. क्योंकि नॉर्मली हम सब बात करते हैं, हम क्या बात करते हैं, हम लोगों की बातें ही गॉसिप ही कर रहे होते हैं ना, सबकी फैमिली में इधर की उधर की. इट वाज दिस थिंग कि हर ट्यूसडे को उन्होंने कीर्तन पे जाना ही जाना है, दुनिया इधर की उधर हो जाए. हमारे को व्हेन आई गॉट मैरिड एंड आई केम टू दिस फैमिली, मेरे को ये समझाया, पता लगा, समझ आया. मैंने नहीं, ये सब ऐसे नहीं देखा हुआ था. लेकिन शुरू में एडजस्ट करने में देखो समझ नहीं आता था. एडजस्ट तो मैं कर लेती हूँ, मेरे को समझ नहीं आता था इतनी क्या इंपॉर्टेंस है, इतना क्या है. लाइक ट्यूसडे को उनको जाना है, उनका क्या डायलॉग होता था कि तुम नौकरी पे जाते हो ना, तुम अपनी नौकरी पूरी करते हो, तुम ये समझो ये मेरी ड्यूटी है, जैसे तुम अपनी ड्यूटी अपनी वो करते हो वैसे ही ये मेरी ड्यूटी है। शी वुड नॉट मिस इट फॉर एनीथिंग। जो भी उनकी वो स्पिरिचुअल उसके जो जहां भी जाना होता था, लाइक दे यूज्ड टू गो फॉर डोनेशंस एंड सम प्लेसेस टू डोनेट क्लोथ्स एंड ऑल। You won't believe Anil's Chacha ji got married, late marriage, whatever. She missed that marriage, but she went to that spiritual activity, whatever it was. She didn't attend the wedding. अब सोचो सबने क्या सोचा होगा family में. But then everybody got used to it. Everybody got used to her behavior. They took it. It's okay. Nobody. I mean, शुरू में थोड़ा सा टाइम लगता है इसमें एडजस्ट होने में। हम सब उनके सिस्टम से एडजस्टेड थे। फिर उसके बाद एक संडे था, ट्यूसडेज एंड संडे शी वुड बी बिजी, उन्होंने उधर जाना ही जाना है। वी वुड एडजस्ट ऑल आवर एक्टिविटीज एंड करिकुलम्स वॉट एवर अकॉर्डिंगली, क्योंकि पता मम्मी ने ये तो जाना ही है। इट वुड बी वेरी रेयर दैट शी वुड मिस इट। सो पीपल अराउंड यू एडजस्ट अकॉर्डिंगली। इट मे टेक कभी थोड़ा कम टाइम, कभी ज्यादा टाइम, थोड़ा बहुत टाइम एडजस्टमेंट में लगता है। बट आज की डेट में मेरे मन में उनके लिए इतना रिगार्ड है, इतना एक रिस्पेक्ट, और एक अब मैं वो सारी बातें उनकी याद करके जब व्हेन आई एम इनटू इट आई अंडरस्टैंड ऑल दैट। ऐसे ही दूसरा एग्जांपल ये है कि जैसे शुरू में हमने जब ये वेदांता वाला अपना ऑनलाइन मीटिंग्स शुरू की थी, तो आई यूज टू डिस्कस इट विद अनिल, आई यूज टू टेल हिम, एंड इवन जो रिकॉर्डिंग होती थी आई यूज टू सेंड हिम। पहले तो वो उस पे वीमियो में था ना शुरू में, एंड आई यूज टू सेंड हिम। शुरू शुरू में वो देखते भी थे, शुरू की कुछ उन्होंने देखी है, बट धीरे धीरे जब मैंने फील किया ही इज नॉट वॉचिंग एनी मोर, स्लोली आई ऑल्सो स्टॉप सेंडिंग। शुरू में थोड़ी बहुत बात भी होती थी, अब ही नोज व्हाट आई एम डूइंग, ही इज फुल्ली अवेयर, because of course he has seen his mother also. I mean, he's quite adjusted to all this, so that way I don't have any problem as such. But जैसे अगर उनको इंटरेस्ट होता शुरू में, जैसे उनका इंटरेस्ट कैरी ऑन हो भी सकता था, बट नहीं हुआ तो नहीं हुआ। सो जस्ट दैट,
Yeah.
जस्ट शेयरिंग।
No, no, that makes sense. You know, Rajiv, one more thought occurred to me from what you were saying earlier. I think you said that, or maybe it's true or not in your case. I mean, I'm thinking about, maybe I'm projecting a little bit. Sometimes we feel responsible for the other person. We feel like it's our job to make the other person happy, or you know, you may feel guilty. Some part of you might feel guilty for changing. I don't know whether that is true in your case or not. That you feel that you're leaving your relations, you're being, you're not meeting their expectations, or you're causing them suffering. Right?
Yeah.
That is not a good way to look at things, because I remember once, actually a psychologist told me once, I was having a conversation with him. He was saying that, very nice example he gave. He said, in our own life, we think we are in the center, sitting in the center, and all our relatives are around us in a circle, and they're all looking at us. And somehow we feel that all of them are tied to us. What we do affects everybody, and our job is to make sure that everybody's happy. Their pains we take on, their happiness we take on. He said that is not a good way to think about life or relationships. You have to think about you all in a line, right? You're all in the same boat. You're all in the same place. If someone that you love is having issues, it's not your fault. They are going through their own process of learning. And compassion doesn't mean that you cover up for their mistakes or you cover up for their issues. That's not compassion. compassion means to understand their journey. So
Okay.
therefore, not be upset at them, not judge them. But you cannot, it is like you said, the teaching is very clear. You are not the source of the giver of results. You're not a giver of results for yourself, nor are you the giver of results for your loved ones. Okay? They have their own way that they have to deal with the system, and they have to go through their own journey. However close you are, they are their own human being. So let them go on their journey, and that's also part of things that we have to learn.
Yeah.
Anyway, any other thoughts?
Well, I will share one other thing that Carol had told me, which is, when we spoke about therapy, whether it's therapy, couples counseling, whatever kind of therapy, she said, if you break a bone, you go to the doctor and you get it fixed. That's sort of their expertise. This is the issue, and you get it done. And sometimes it's exactly the same thing with, when there are issues that are understandable, they come up, and there is a professional to deal with them. So I found that helpful, and I found the tool helpful as well. Not just individual, but like couples counseling. In my case, my husband had to push me for it, but I am so thankful that he did.
Yeah, I mean, I think counseling is always helpful. Going to an expert and spending some time. I agree with you. They also, just like any other healing, they can change perspectives and give you the tools to manage that. My mom used to tell us, I remember when I was a kid, I remember telling, she used to tell me that, when you are in your 20s and 30s, you always blame the whole world is wrong and I'm correct. So, and then you get into your 30s and 40s, right? You say, oh, it's not the whole world, it's my family,
There's
who
a
I'm
few
surrounded
people.
with. Right? Yeah, a few people, right? And then you enter into your 50s and 60s and you say, who's at fault here? Yourself. So you spend the rest of your time changing yourself. So here we are.
First half of your life, or majority of your life, you consolidate all your mistakes. And then you're left with the last like 20-30% to fix them. ये क्या मतलब है?
Well, and then you say, I'm the only one I can control. I can't control other people, what they think, how they operate, where they are. So you just do your best to change yourself.
And everybody is happy in their own way. Everybody has got their own philosophy, which they have worked out to suit their life. Everybody thinks they have the answer. You may be thinking, I have to fix the other person. The other person may be thinking, you need fixing.
Yeah, exactly.
So
That's very true.
Chalo. I think should we call it a day or night, as the case may be. So next time now,
Okay.
are we done with Karam Yoga? So next
Done
time
with
we
Karam.
go to chapter 8. To do chapter 8, you have to really understand chapter 8, you have to understand Upasana. So we got to get into Upasana. It's another fascinating topic of Vedanta, not well understood, but we will understand it from a different perspective. Because it's really, Upasana means building your conceptual ability. Because Vedanta requires conceptual ability. You have to think about things which are not in front of you. And that's what Upasana does. That's why they say you need both. You need a pure mind, a clean mind without desires, and you need a mind which has this ability also. It's natural. It's not running away everywhere. It's focused, and it can think about things which are not in front of you. So on that wonderful sort of exciting, whetting your appetite. till next time. Oh, actually, next time, you know what? I'm going to be traveling 6th. Oh, shoot. So 20th, I'll let you know if I can do it. I'm going to be in Europe and India over the next, from the 17th of April till the 15th of May. So during that time, we may have to, we'll go. I would want to continue the classes, but I'll have to get back to you about specific, depending on when I am, where I am, and all that. We may have to adjust a little bit. And if we can't do it, then we can't do it. We'll just do it after we come back.
Okay. No problem.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
Okay.
You could also do maybe next Saturday, if that works for everyone, and then skip.
Oh, you mean on the 13th?
Yeah,
I mean, it's up to you guys. I'm always
I mean,
happy.
works for me. I would love to do it, but it's fine either way.
It's okay, fine with me.
Because that way you'll be in town, and then it'll give you a couple of weeks while you're traveling to figure out.
I know. Sanjay and Rajiv, you want to do it next week?
I think I should be able to do that. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I like our 2-week cadence. It's a good
No,
cadence.
I know.
For
I
a
think 2
change,
weeks is a good cadence, but
yeah,
just
for a
given the
change,
fact you're
let's do
traveling,
the
yeah.
next Saturday. We'll make it a quick session. Sanjay, is it
Sure.
okay or
Yeah, fine with.
fine with you?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And is the
Okay.
time still okay? Now we are at Pacific saving time. So now what used to be 8 o'clock for me is now 9 o'clock. But earlier though, for you, I think you can't do any time before 9.
No, it's same
Yeah.
thing. Yeah.
Same thing. Yeah.
Same.
Okay. All right,
Okay.
guys. So next week then.
Okay.
Okay.
Bye, everyone.
Okay, bye-bye. Bye.
Bye.